Hi everyone and welcome to Exploring Kodawari. I'm Yankı and the guest for this episode is our good friend and amazing violinist Emre Engin. Emre is the recipient of many awards and he's an active soloist in both the US and Turkey. Although we both come from Turkey, we did not actually meet officially and become friends until meeting at Stony Brook University in New York, where he and I are both completing doctorate degrees in music. In the episode, we talked about his music career as well as his experience living in Turkey, the UK, and the US. In the US, he was a student of the famous violinist Pinchas Zukerman and his assistant Patinka Kopec, and had a lot of interesting things to say about that style of teaching. In addition, Emre had some interesting insights into how he deals with nerves while performing. This is especially difficult as a soloist, who's under the spotlight at the front of the orchestra and has to play some of the most difficult music in the violin repertoire. Okay, that's it for now. If you enjoy our podcast or articles on our website, we hope you'll consider supporting us with a small monthly donation. Links for that are in the episode notes. Thanks for listening. Hope you're having a good week and enjoy the episode.
Tamam. Emre, bizim podcastimize hoş geldiniz.
Hoş bulduk Luke.
Çoğul falan. Hoş geldin.
I'm overpowered by Turkish people today.
Yay.
All right, so let's just start. I've already put an intro here. I will have already put an intro to introduce you briefly, but can you say how you got into music?
Okay. Thanks guys for having me here. I'm very excited. So I got into music in Turkey, actually. I got really jealous of my sister going on a painting course. And I was like, I was just putting pressure on my family and my parents, like, I want to go to some sort of leisure activity. And they were like, oh, well, what about sports? And I'm really not a sports guy. I'm still not, and I wasn't at the time. So there was only music left. And I went to this choir in the city. And I started singing in the choir, and the conductor realized that I didn't have a very pleasant voice. So she was like, oh, well, maybe you should play an instrument. And then she directed my parents and myself to the entrance auditions of the conservatory in the city.
Which city was that?
Bursa in Turkey. Okay. And then, I just auditioned and, I got into, this wonderful world. And I started playing the violin. Actually, as a matter of fact, I didn't choose violin. Violin chose me. No, I'm joking.
Like Harry Potter's wand?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it was, I had two options in the application form, either piano or violin. And I don't know. The reason why I put it there, because those are the only two instruments I had known at the time. So they looked at my hands and my mouth shape, and they decided I should be a violinist. So it wasn't really.
So you didn't have the mouth shape for a wind instrument, but you do have big hands.
Big hands, but have you seen my teeth? So they're not great.
But a lot of brass players, when they have spacing between their front teeth or anything like that, actually play better because the air sneaks through or something.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Interesting.
But I think your hands are still bigger for violin than your teeth are better for trumpet.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that means.
Actually, what happened, so there are two sections of this education, conservatory education. The first part is part-time. So you only go there to get your lessons and, solfege lessons and violin lessons. And after 2 years, you audition for just to be a full-time student there. So at that audition, at that point, I had actually played the violin for 2 years already. So they were like, oh, well, are you okay with, continuing as a violinist? I'm like, I don't know. And then they were like, okay, let's look at your hands and a mouth shape again. And my violin teacher was not happy with me. And then...
you're a barn animal. Let's look at your mouth.
Look at your mouth. Exactly. It can open up.
No. And then the horn teacher... he was also a player at the city orchestra. He was like, oh, well, I can take him. He could be a good horn player. God. And at that point, there was this other teacher who saved my life. No, I'm joking. So thanks to him, I'm playing the violin, I guess. But yeah, I was...
You mean instead of the horn?
Instead of the horn, yeah. I don't know. At the time, I didn't know what horn, what kind of an instrument it was. I just, didn't want to play that. That was the only thing I knew. But yeah, so that was it. Actually, they thought I could be a good candidate for horn player.
I can see you as a horn player for some weird reason. You would make a good horn player.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah. Brass players are a different breed, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
So what was it like generally growing up in Turkey, considering you can compare and contrast it to, you lived in London, or did you grow up there a little bit? Or did you just go to college there?
I just went to college there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I moved to the UK when I was 17. So yeah.
That's young enough though to like, that's why you have a slight British accent to your English.
All right.
All right.
So
All right.
yeah.
Like Turkey instead of
Turkey.
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 Like a New York accent.
Yeah,
Turkey.
that's true.
Turkey.
Yeah.
How about
Turkey?
It's nice.
Long Island accent? Turkey. No.
Long Island.
Turkey.
Long Island.
Turkey.
Turkey. Yeah.
Ugh.
Turker. No, I don't know.
Turkier.
Turkier. Yeah.
Turkey.
R's at the end. I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah. How was it like growing up in Turkey? Well, you know, when you're a little kid, you don't really realize many things, and you know, comparing to I don't know those times to now, it was different. It was like Turkey wasn't as I think it was a little more pleasant to live in. I think.
I think everywhere was more pleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I don't
By
know if
then,
it's
2020 at least.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like the fact that we were like I don't know little kids and we didn't know what was going on around us. But
I think
yeah.
political situation was way better.
that
We were
too.
less oppressed.
Well, we had a
Offense
lot
to
of
anyone, but
like coups and stuff, like successful coups in Turkey, and like our parents went through that process,
yeah, that's true.
and like politically it was
Turkey has a really unique version or history with military coups
Yeah.
balancing out the government. More, it's like if that happened in the U.S., that would be like the one time it ever happened.
Yeah.
Who like. Although it feels like we're as close to something like that happening as ever before. But it happened like how many times since 1923 in Turkey?
yeah.
Probably
How
like
many
5.
do we have?
Well,
4?
we
I don't
had
think it's 5.
we had 2 successful ones, I think, and then we had
81.
and then we
the
yeah,
80s
and then we
one was
had
in the-
like a recent attempt that wasn't successful, but in between we had like a lot of interventions by the military. I mean, not like active interventions, but like they were, you know, I mean, it was obvious that military was a very, you know, empowered factor in the politics. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was definitely, I felt like it was more pleasant to live in, but I don't think it's a fair comparison. Like, because again, like I was a little kid, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, so like I can make, I think, a fair comparison between the US and the UK.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I the first month I moved to the UK, actually I was just like so surprised everything.
Yeah, what
like,
was that like when you first got there?
Well, yeah, it's it wasn't. No, I actually really wanted to move to the UK. I really, growing up, like that was one of my favorite countries and cities, London, obviously, in the world, and not just I don't know touristic point of view, but you know, I grew up watching Harry Potter, so that was like, so
that's true. I mean, when me and Yankı went to London last year, and then we went to like King's Cross Station, my little kid brain was like,
oh my god,
yeah.
I was almost gonna run into the wall, kind of thing, see what happens.
Yeah, that's actually not the real wall, right? Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah.
There was another like.
Well, they have a tourist
like a
shop
tourist
with like a
tourist
thing,
wall
yeah,
with it.
location for
we
that,
saw
like
that.
outside.
That was lame. That was
Yeah,
lame.
that's true.
Yeah, I remember.
There's so much line to take pictures, but anyway, yeah.
No, yeah, I really wanted to go. Like London was my like just city that I really wanted to go to at the time, and then I was so happy that I moved to the UK. Yeah, I think to compare, like because it was my first time like experiencing it, like you know studying alone abroad and like without my family. So, and you know many things that happened to me for the first time happened in the UK. Like my first experience in anything you can possibly imagine. So you know that has a I guess more special.
It's imprinted on your memory in like
yes,
a special
exactly.
way. Yeah.
So when I moved to the US, actually when I had to move to the US, I was. Yeah, like, I was a little shocked. I don't want to say in a bad way, but it was completely very different. I was, it was difficult to adjust.
Oh, you had, that's a good question.
What is that?
Why did you have to move to the US, you think?
Why do I have to move? Yeah, well, I had a better opportunity in the US. Do you want me to go in detail more?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I had just finished my undergraduate studies at Royal College of Music, London, and about a year before before the end of the year, I met the assistant of Pinchas Zukerman, Maestro Pinchas Zukerman, and then I just made contacts with her, and then she yeah, she invited me to come to the US and audition.
Or for the people that don't know who Pinchas Zukerman is, he's like the how can you even define him? Like try to like he's the master of the teachers, basically. Yeah.
Like Dumbledore.
Right.
We're gonna stick to Harry Potter.
I definitely don't see him as Dumbledore.
Yeah.
But like I don't know.
Alternative London.
Yeah, he's an incredible teacher, and Emre got into a studio, and it's very selective, and it's a huge.
So
huge deal.
Was that MSM? Or?
MSM, Manhattan School of Music. Yeah, I started doing my master's there. Well, yeah, I love the program. I love the school, obviously. But yeah, again, like living in New York, it was like, I'm not sure. It's so crowded. It's so dirty. It's so loud. And it's like Upper West Side, like, that sound of subway and like I don't know, rails and friction of rails. And like everything was just sort of disturbing me. I don't know. I had a bit of a hard time adjusting. I think it's partially the fact that I loved London a little too much, and like I don't know. I'm
attached to London.
Yeah, like
New York wasn't as good as London.
Yeah, like and I think I might sound a little spoiled or like like a difficult kid or something. But I actually New York or London, like great cities, but I think to live in, I still prefer London. It's more livable, I guess, and it's a little more civilized. I would say, like it's. I don't know, people are
now.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, London. Well, New York is.
I totally agree with you. I was just kidding. Yeah,
I love New York. I mean, I enjoyed going to New York Philharmonic concerts and Metropolitan Opera. My first time ever, like watching many operas. It was at the Met Opera, and I love that opera. I actually love it more than Covent Garden. And Broadway shows. Oh my God, what an amazing opportunity for a musician, for any kind of artist, really. And I think when I moved to the US, New York, like financially, I was at a better situation. So I think I was more able to enjoy what city was offering me. Like, going to the concerts, operas and everything in London, and those things were so expensive that there was like no student discount. So you would have to like save a lot of money to go to London Philharmonic concert or Covent Garden opera performance. So yeah, those things, like I was so happy, like I started actually like growing as an artist, growing as a person. Yeah, so.
You were also at the age to do that too, right?
Maybe,
when
yeah.
You're 17 is very different than 22 or whatever it was when you came here.
Exactly.
What was it, 22?
I was 22, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly 22.
I just did some basic
calculations, yeah. I told you before the podcast I'm not clever. Yeah.
Oh my God, stop it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to ask Yankı and Emre, like, what is your favorite thing about Turkish culture? I mean, obviously you could badmouth any culture, like from anywhere in the world with their bad things, but what's your favorite aspect of Turkish culture, especially when comparing to like you're both living here?
It's a difficult question. What's my favorite thing about the Turkish culture? Should I go first? I have something on my mind. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say by any means like it's completely different here, but I think we have very strong like family ties. Like we're just very, very like big families, you know what I mean? Like not just the immediate family, but like we're so close with our like extended family.
There's that element too that kids don't really move out of the house until they're like starting their own family.
Yes, exactly.
Whereas here you move out by college. Maybe you come back during college, and
I mean, it's
after
unbelievable
college, it's
that,
assumed you'll be leaving the nest.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that there's this concept of like you owe money to your parents to be staying in the apartment. Like you just have that obligation feeling inside of you. Not that you actually have to, but that's like an absolutely like ridiculous thing in my culture. For instance, like the mom is gonna nurture you until the moment you leave from the door. It can be like when you're 50, or it can be 20. Like it doesn't matter.
There are plenty of people here that live at home until
I mean, that's true, but here
30, 40. But by the time you're
weird.
approaching 30, it's considered weird here.
Yeah. In Turkey, I don't think so. Really,
no,
it's completely normal.
It's completely normal.
Yeah, I mean, we have very close family ties. I think I really like that.
Yeah,
about our culture.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. So actually, I was going to say that if you had it first, but
always go first.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I agree with that, and I think even like 40, 50, like if you're not married and if you still live with your parents, it's okay in the society in Turkey. Like no one is gonna. I mean, the worst thing they might just say, oh, they're a little bit like too.
The komşu.
Yeah, the counter. I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah, me neither. It's
like, yeah.
Don't explain. I have no idea.
Feel free to curse in Turkish too. Well, because the algorithms won't figure out if we're explicit or not in a different language.
Good to know.
Yeah. So I think, family ties definitely. I don't know if it's about culture, but did you say about Turkish culture or Turkey in general?
In general is fine too. I mean, there are plenty of just beautiful things, places to go there, historical places,
Yeah.
Actually, I have one more.
Yeah, go for it.
I was just thinking, people are very, for better or worse, people are very individualistic here, which is really nice. But then that can come across as like selfish at times. We're a little different, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, the difference in reaction between COVID and how America
especially
is somehow politicizing it. It's like a political statement if you have a mask on or not, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's hard to compare that. But I know what you mean. I mean, there's a value in individualism and in group solidarity.
Yeah, like we want to protect our elderly, for instance. Like everybody wants to, unify and then comply for that reason. Like not to just protect themselves.
Inherently like an American thing, or just more of like as a culture evolves in technology, like kind of like we always joke that Turkey feels like it's like 15 years behind the culture of America,
Yeah.
Like in terms of...
I mean, you can make people get offended with that sentence, by the way. Be very careful.
Well, I'll mean it in terms of like cultural rules of like, can you live together before you're married? Or you said like smoking only became a known dangerous thing in like the 90s.
That's true.
Where it was more like the late mid 70s to 80s in America. So I think things, just because there's so much bleed from American culture through Hollywood and stuff to all other world cultures, that stuff takes time to bleed out and kind of whatever.
I guess so, yeah.
No, I didn't mean it as an insult. It's just
I'm not offended. I'm just saying we're very also...
Is this going to become a fight episode? Let's do it.
No. I mean, what's the word? We're also very proud. So like, watch
that
what you're
is true.
saying.
That is true.
Like we can absolutely shit talk about our culture, but when someone else does that, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. You cannot
What's
say
the phrase
that.
Yankı always says if you're stepping on her pride? She goes, "I'll slice you."
Oh, do I say that?
Yeah, you say that all the time.
Oh my
Don't
God.
go there.
It's so funny, actually. I don't want to go into politics so much, but our lovely, Tayyip Erdogan, president. Yes. So, I personally don't support him, and if someone like talks, really badly about that president of ours, like, you're fine with it. But if someone in the US or someone in Germany,
it feels different.
We just become really protective.
I never protect that guy. Sorry, I'm going
to be very honest. Me neither. But like,
everybody can talk shit about it
for certain ththings. I don't know. It's funny. Anyways, it's going to be understood in a different way, I guess. But I'm really not a supporter of him. But yeah, for example, like if like Merkel says something, annoying and something like, I don't know, not nice about him, and I would just go like, oh, just go look at yourself, Merkel, just like what you did with the health system or something like that. It's, I don't know.
I think instinctual, like, wait a second.
Yeah,
we're very my country.
Yeah,
we're very nationalistic, I think.
We're a little too much.
Yeah, a little too much. Yeah. I mean, we're a new nation. Like when you think of it, like the modern Turkey is new. Like, just over 100 years old.
Yeah, but I think we have the pride of being Turk.
100 years old? Let me calculate. Not even. Wait.
1923. You only need to add 100.
Yeah.
Help. Oh, okay.
What about with COVID-19? You're a musician. Like, how have you been coping with that? Either like literally, not playing concerts and stuff, or just mentally being, going crazy?
Yeah. Well, I actually spent it in Turkey. Like I had just gone to Turkey for a couple of concerts in February. Actually, it was already like known. Like people were just saying, "Oh, there's something like this."
The smart people knew something was going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry. I'm very proud to say this, but I was one of those smart people. But
yes, you were warning all of us.
I was warning
in like
everyone.
January, it's like it's coming,
including Jennifer, Joanna. So. Like I had some students, they were like, I knew they were going to travel from those countries, the origin of the COVID-19. And I immediately went online with my students because I had like
I don't remember getting that warning from you.
No, he like started giving out masks and stuff in February.
I was wearing
like not
masks,
even February,
yeah.
at the end of
Wow.
January even, yeah.
Yeah, and then
Do you want to play the lottery with us later?
maybe yeah. So anyways, I had just I was in Turkey and then the borders closed down, and I just got stuck in Turkey. Well, at first it was nice. I mean, I think everyone's going to agree with me. It was really nice to sort of see the slow side of life a little bit, because, like, I started going to I don't know, school at the age of 6 or something. Ever since, like, no stopping, nothing. Sorry. So yeah, it was really nice to take some time off. But yeah, like a month or so. Also, like there was issues with my father's health, so I had to be there. It worked out well, I guess. But like after a while, I started getting like really paranoid. I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? And what's going to happen? Like, is it going to be actually like this for
What if it's like this
long
for 2
time?
years?
Well, 2 years, like,
Or because they didn't know exactly, they still don't know, but like it could pop up in waves, and you're always in this like, oh, we opened up, now we shut down, and what's the first thing to go is like anything that has big audiences, like classical music.
Yeah.
Maybe jazz clubs can be okay with the right seating arrangements or whatever, but you really can't play like orchestra concerts.
big orchestras.
I mean, you can, but like without audience. Like that's what they're doing in Berlin Phil, for instance.
Sure.
Smaller, but still.
There's something different about it, though.
Yeah.
There's something different about
it's
playing in
weird.
front of live people.
Yeah.
I mean, recordings are obviously great, and you probably, there's a literal difference in the sound in a concert hall when it's filled with people. Like the ring is different. Depends on the hall whether it makes it better or not. But I just mean the energy of a musician, like you guys were just recording something. I no longer enjoy violin. I thought I liked the violin.
Shut up. We're perfectionists.
But imagine if you just prepared it and then you were going to put it on as a concert. You would have approached it with a different mindset, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, live streaming has that, I guess, too. But there's like a real human connection when you feel the people breathing over there. But you don't want to feel anyone breathing in COVID, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So what did you do at the time? Like, did you stop practicing, or did you?
Like I started, obviously I was teaching online. My teacher went online like everyone. But performance-wise, with some friends, we did some, remote recordings. I remember doing my first time doing a remote recording on my own. I did the Kreuzberg Sonata with a pianist. And actually my pianist was in the same city as me, but we were not allowed to go out of our houses. So like we did remote recordings, and like there was like a lot of live Instagram live things, and like Facebook live, YouTube live. Like,
that stuff took off during COVID. Like I know a lot of musicians that just kind of up their social media game.
Yeah. And actually, as a matter of fact, I myself started one series that didn't really happen for a long time. I had Yankı as one of my guests once.
The live stream chats?
Live stream chat, yeah.
I think I poked my head into that when you were...
Yeah.
Because she was sitting right here in the kitchen.
Yeah, that was fun.
So that was fun, yeah, those things. And, those things, like, I don't know, keep you, I guess. I don't know.
I keep telling Yankı she should start a podcast in Turkish.
Yeah.
I'll do all the, audio editing and stuff, since I can do that pretty quickly now.
That'd be fun, yeah. I mean, it's still kind of untapped in Turkey. I mean, there are Turkish podcasts, but like not as many as here.
It's the market's not flooded like it is here, with everyone who has a basement and like 10 minutes of free time has started a podcast,
Yeah.
Emre,
you should do that, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. So, you started a project, right? Like this another project, Music in the Air. Do you want to talk about that a little?
Oh yeah, we started that. That actually happened very recently with two of my friends from the Stony Brook Music Department, pianist Miki Aoki and cellist Jason Shan. We started this, I guess you can call it like online concert series. We did our first concert last week, about 10 days ago. So basically what we did, we like remotely recorded our parts, and then Jason, who's great at editing, he put the parts together, but we also played again, like for the visual part of it, for the video. So he prepared the audio first, like he put everything together, and then we played on top of it, and then we took the videos of it or something, and then he put it back.
Did you play with like a click track or
yeah, something like that?
Okay.
And actually, it turned out to be really. I don't know how you watched it. I don't know. It's like it looked really almost all the time synced.
Which is I've tried. I remember trying. There are apps that do it for you, but if you want to get like the best audio and video and like mess around with it, it gets pretty difficult. You have to like know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Did you find it like
very good.
musically rewarding to do that, or was it more like, okay, like this is something to do?
Yeah, well,
because you can't hear the sounds in real life, and playing with headphones on, then you don't hear your sound and you don't hear how it's blending with other people's sounds.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a weird thing.
I mean, for a perfectionist like me, like us, or I guess perfectionists like us, I guess it was, I don't know, it was sort of like the outcome was much better because then you get to like, takes, you would like do a lot of takes. It's all up to you. You can do like how many takes as you want. But then like there's something missing. There's actually a lot of things missing. Like that playing Rachmaninoff trio, just the violin part, without, I don't know, just hearing the pianist like breathing or just like playing and moving, like just feeling that presence in the room is very unfortunate.
And you could like list all the things like for non-musicians listening, like the kinds of cues we use to play in small groups. Like you just said, the breathing, there's the visual, just like seeing someone's bow move. Yeah. For our brass players, we might even look at someone's lips and kind of learn like when they breathe, this is how long it would take for the sound to start.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then there's that more like hard to define thing. It's just like the energy in the room. Right?
Energy in the room, exactly. You don't even have to look at yourself. Like you can look at each other. You can just feel something. I don't know what it is. There is this vibe, an amazing thing going on, and
Zoom has not developed the technology.
Not yet, unfortunately. So yeah, going back to your question, rewarding? Not really. But outcome, like I watched what actually came out of it. My performance of Kodai Adagio. I mean, it actually sounds close to perfect. Like
if I do say so myself.
I was just so happy. It was just great. But, you can't play that perfect in a real performance. It's not possible. Also, I felt like I wasn't actually the executor of that performance. It was Jason. Because like I played 2 bars, 3 bars. And like he put all those things together. And I was like, no, that's not me. Like it's actually
right. At what point is it you? At what point is he the one? Who made it happen?
It's not really rewarding, but I think
it's better than nothing.
It's better than for the audience. I think it's. I don't know if it matters that much. What do you think?
I think it depends on probably what audience.
I mean, it's better than nothing. We need to adapt if this is gonna persist for a while, which it seems like it will be. I don't think it's just gonna
classical musicians certainly. I
don't think it's gonna just magically end at 2021.
I just get so bored watching those kinds of things.
Me too. Yeah.
I mean, it might not be as rewarding to make it, but at least it's fun to be a musician and prepare. Like it gives you something to work for.
You stay in shape.
Stay in shape, right? Mm-hmm. Just when you wake up, you're like, all right, I won't just stare at a wall all day. Like I have something to do.
Bless you.
Whoa.
Çok yaşa.
Sandigger.
But yeah, like every time I see a friend who had like put out a video or something, I even like when the New York Phil puts out like something, I get bored within a minute. I'm like, nah, next, cause
I love like how everybody, including me, did the, what's the piece? Oh my God. Ravel, Bolero. That was like
that's a classic one.
Trend, trend. That's like,
well, because it works so perfectly for video editing. Because the Ravel Bolero is a piece that starts with the drums, and then each instrument gets added, and it makes for a really nice video editing experience.
But after a while, then everybody did that. I'm like, I just don't want to hear this anymore.
You did that early in March, right?
True, yeah.
Yeah, you were the first.
Right after, was it New Yorkville? Yeah, right after them. So we stole it first.
Yeah, I agree. There's something missing from the online performances.
Actually, so around July, I got asked to play my first concert of the pandemic. The concerto I played. That was the last performance I did before the pandemic. So that was
so you just had to dust it off a little bit.
Exactly. I was really lucky. It was amazing to play in front of an audience. I don't know.
How did the audience sit? Like, I know orchestra like did COVID tests and everything from what you told me, but how did the audience socially?
It was an open air concert. It was in a open space inside a campus of a really well known university, Boğaziçi University in Istanbul. The audience, they were seated really apart from each other. There was just so much space in between two seats. But I mean, not so much the audience part. I mean, I love, of course, the audience feeling and hearing the claps and everything. Like it makes it live, the performance. But making music with people behind you or around you, it doesn't matter. Is it your soloist or chamber musician? That was actually what I missed the most. Yeah, playing for the audience, of course, it's an important part of it. But again, playing with musicians, real musicians, and playing.
I mean, we have the most fun in rehearsals sometimes,
Yeah,
and there's no audience there. It's more like if you like the people you're playing with.
Yeah,
and there's a flexibility. They listen to you, you're listening to them. There's a dialogue. Isn't that literally what a concerto is? Right? It's like this.
Yeah.
Can you talk about concertos? Because you do a lot of soloing, right, in Turkey?
I do a lot of soloing, yes.
Even define what it is if we have
concerto,
some non-musician listeners.
Yeah, we can talk about that, okay. So it's the style actually refers to two instruments competing with each other. So it could be like concerto for piano, violin, and that means... So there are two equally important figures in that piece, and they're competing with each other. Or it could be a concerto for one instrument, and that could be a concerto for violin accompanied by orchestra. So that means the important figure there is the soloist, is the violinist, and then the orchestra is accompanying. So the concerto I played, it was Mozart concerto, and it was concerto for violin accompanied by orchestra. So the orchestra wasn't actually it's an important part of it, but the orchestra has an accompaniment part, so it's
not as much of an equal part.
Yeah, so we have duo concertos. So they're viola, violin are the soloists, and orchestra is the accompaniment part. So the concerto is actually a very important part of evolution of string players, string instruments. So I do a lot of soloing, and that's actually what I enjoyed the most in my life, really, as a musician and anything really.
So do you like the thrill of it? Because like for example, in an orchestra, depending on for trumpet, obviously you might have a solo or something within the orchestra. If you're playing Mahler 5, then it's basically a concerto for trumpet. Right?
Yeah, right.
But it's not you usually get nervous if you're just playing second trumpet or third trumpet or in the section, in the violin section, and you don't have a big role. But if you're the soloist, do you ever get anxiety or nervous energy, or, have you ever had a freak out, or do you just not have to worry about that?
Well, sure. I mean, it's, there are times that I feel of course it's, so I don't know, for that last concert I did in the pandemic season, it was I missed it so much that I didn't feel any anxiety. It was just I want to go out there. I want to actually play on that stage. It was but sometimes it also depends on the piece. It also depends on your preparation. But sometimes, actually recently I talked to Yankı about this recently. The more I prepare, the more anxiety I get.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I
know what you mean, though. Yeah. You have more to worry about.
More to worry about, more expectations, and I had practiced that concerto, Mozart Concerto Number 5, for my concert here in New York in February. So it was a month of practicing, but then there was 6 months of not practicing it, and then they asked me last minute, 4 days before the concert, and I was okay, I think I can do it. Then I think it was just
You think it went better because of that?
It went much better.
Yeah, I've had the same experience where
much better.
Yeah, a lot of preparation, and then when you let it leave your short-term memory, so all of the moments that you got tripped up on or whatever, you sort of see the piece in a more zoomed out way. You're just kind of oh, I'll just play it.
Yeah.
You just kind of hit the go button and you play it and enjoy it.
Exactly.
I mean, I just block myself. If I just practice and learn something just so much, I just can't play anymore from thinking. I just totally freeze, basically, personally.
Some of that is how you practice, and there are probably ways to practice that we all know we don't practice in the healthiest ways, where what you should do and then you just stressfully like repeat something over and over again.
Yeah.
And then those moments kind of get tagged in your brain when you get to them in the piece, and it's less free and more like technically like.
I mean, you have very healthy practice habits, I think.
Do I?
Like from what I like observed, like you're really good at like just detaching, I think.
Well, that's what you seem very. I was watching some of your, videos that you have up on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and you have a very calm presence about you when you play. Like that's why I was asking about nerves. Like, are you just good at hiding nerves, or do you just find they don't? Like what I mean by nerves is like, dun, 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 like your heart starts beating and you can kind of lose your breath, or your hands might be shaky or something like that.
Yeah, that definitely happens to me a lot of times actually. But like heartbeat, oh gosh, yeah, it's nowhere close to normal ratio, I think. But when I perform, but somehow, again, it depends on the environment. It depends on the piece. It depends on like where I am in the process of learning that piece. But also there is something interesting about nerves that I find recently. There is this funny connection between my fingers, but what I mean by fingers, my brain, and also my heartbeat. Like if I can detach those two things, if I can actually just, I don't want to use the word cut the relationship between those two, but looking at my fingers somehow makes me more nervous, and I just want to sort of be there in that presence, and then I just want to really I don't want to use the word focus, because when you focus everything gets, I don't know, out of control for me. I just need to really enjoy and not look at my fingers, because when I look at my fingers I tend to think about every single step I make, and I tend to think about every single muscle movement I'm doing. And that point my brain is overworked, and that point my brain is like, you're giving me too much to do. And then at that point my heartbeat gets like really fast. So like I try to really like go with the flow, and at the, for example, that Carnegie concert I did, that performance, I mean, it was my first time playing Carnegie like solo, and of course like there was just a lot of like nerves going on, but I wasn't as sure as I wanted to be, like about that piece. So I tried so hard to control everything, even the tempi, control the dynamics, control the tempi, control everything in the orchestra too. And then my brain was just working too much, and then my brain was giving signals to my body, and eventually my heart, just to actually saying like, I'm overworked, I'm doing too much work. And at that point, my heart is starting to beat faster. So, I mean, just by experience, you sort of like hide things in the concert. I mean, as far as I remember, nothing went drastically wrong. I don't know, Yankı was at that concert.
Amazing, by the way, just so everybody knows.
But yeah, so I think, I recently, discovered this in myself. I don't know if it works the same with you guys, but I just want to go with the flow. I just want to sort of... like
I think what you're describing is what we always talk about on this podcast and just with each other, like mindfulness and getting ahead of emotions and stuff, like, or detaching, right? You said detach, like from your fingers, like don't look at them. That means you let them just work on their own. Yeah. Just like when you walk, you don't tell your legs how to walk. You just expect
something should come naturally. Like I was talking to Hagai, our professor at Stony Brook department, about this. Great.
What note is it?
C sharp.
Yeah. So another one.
Now we're good. They always do three. And then we're good.
Yeah, I think some things definitely should come naturally to you, and if they're not coming naturally, and just like like walking, if when you walk, you can't think of every step you make, and if you do that, you're gonna either like trip, you're gonna fall, or something like that.
Something else. If you pay attention to your legs, it's at the expense of something else, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
like you have limited computational power of the mind. But in the subconscious, right, where you let your fingers just go, or you let your legs go, then the brain works way better, and it, like you said the word flow before, you actually flow.
You actually flow. Yeah, and my previous teacher, Pinchas Zukerman, there's like a really big banner in his studio saying like, "Oh, listen to your sound, not your emotions." I actually, I like that saying. I think it's an important saying. Like,
meaning while performing, do you sound good? Don't worry about the judgment of, or like you're nervous or that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and we, like, I don't know, as Middle Eastern people, I think with like, it's like we're human beings. We have emotions, and
no one else has it.
Just the Middle Eastern people.
Just Middle Eastern people. Yeah,
we're a little too dramatic, actually.
We can get dramatic for sure.
If that's what you mean,
that's what I. Yeah. So, like. Actually, he made me notice something really important in myself and one of my lessons. When I was like going with like, just with emotions, just like kind of making faces and everything like that, something would go wrong in my playing. And then it was just like, oh, you see, like now, just try to play like you hate playing the violin. I'm like, okay, I'm going to play that.
Actually, you're like, no problem, I do.
No problem. Yeah, there was like no problem with the, no problem, exactly. I hate playing the violin. No,
I think we all have a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, we do, yeah.
For sure.
We're going to come to that later. So, and I realized that, actually everything was, working much better than when I was involving and attaching my feelings into my playing. But then I went a little, to like over the board, I guess. I exaggerated a little too much over the years because, after you graduate, from a certain teachers, a very influential teachers class, like Pinchas Zukerman, you sort of take the time to internalize certain things after you graduate.
It takes time to have them fall into your brain and like
exactly
make them part of who you are.
Yeah, and I went in the wrong way a little bit. Like I was like a little too sort of cold, and I was like
unemotional,
like that. And then I wasn't getting as much, I guess, success,
positive feedback about your playing.
Feedback, exactly. Like people would be just like, "Oh, you're just playing like you sounded like constipated." I actually heard from
that's quite a comment.
One of my
mean,
like it's a constipation kind of
sound. I'm going to use that actually on one of my students. I'm going to be like, your concerto was great, but sounds a little constipated.
Yeah, you just find yourself by time, but like it's I think it's
so you were like too far on the emotion side of things, and it was disturbing the technique.
Yeah,
and then you swung too far back towards technique. Do you feel like you've kind of found a balance now, or?
I guess I don't know. It's right now I feel definitely most comfortable with my playing. I mean, there are obviously more things to worry about and to develop, obviously, but like when I perform, I mean, like I actually feel really comfortable right now. When it took me like how many years? Like 20 years. Like it's crazy, and there will be more things to discover always. But yeah, I think it takes time. Everything takes time, and I was so impatient when I was with Pinchas. I was just like, oh, I can't do. It's just like not what I want to do. But it's been like 4 or 5 years.
He kind of boxed you in more, and then you kind of got what you can out of that. Have
exactly. I think most of his students, they experienced, like I talked to some of alumni from that class. They say the same thing. Like it took me 3-4 years to actually find myself, and like when they get out of that sort of like closed up, like really, like, I don't know, restrictive, really constrained environment. They, like after a while, they feel really free. They find themselves. They internalize certain things in their playing. It's all about just discovering yourself.
It's really it's a weird balance though, because it's like, okay, even those type teachers, I don't know Zukerman particularly, but like they might focus on sound, right?
Yeah.
They'll be like, oh, the movement you're doing is taking away from your sound.
Yeah.
Like you're not resonating as much, or the clarity's not there because you're swept up in the moment.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that same thing in playing orchestra music. Like at the end of a Mahler symphony, if you're playing first trumpet, that's like hard. It's like a sprint. It's not, it's like sprinting at the end of a marathon, right?
Yeah.
And there's a sense like if you get too caught up in the moment, if I hear the music the way I would if I'm watching a concert, it's like too emotional.
You get too excited.
And it starts taking away from the sound. There's a detachment that you have to find, but so it's like less emotional, but it's more musically effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think to myself, well, if I'm the one playing the Mahler symphony, then the audience is the person buying the product who should get the best experience, not me enjoying it the most.
Yeah.
If I have to detach and just make sure my sound is really projecting the way it needs to or something. And, because sometimes at the end of a Mahler symphony, Mahler happens to be one of my favorite composers, so I always use that example. But like your heart could just start beating, not from nerves, but just from like, oh man, like the music builds to this like terrifying moment or something, you know, usually before it ends beautifully or whatever. But like in Mahler, sometimes the darkest moments happen right before the beautiful climax or something. Yeah. And you can really just get so caught up. That happened once. I had too much coffee before a Mahler symphony. I don't know why we did that, but yeah, that's an interesting balance. I think there's no perfect answer to it. And certain students don't sync up with certain teachers, right? If you're a teacher that's trying to box people in and you're not someone who wants to be boxed in, you're not going to get along.
I really definitely needed to be boxed in though. Like I knew I needed that. And I'm really, really grateful that I had that opportunity because, like I loved my teacher in London, Rashkovsky. I think he made me a much better musician, much better, like more creative artist to start with. But I had things missing in my playing. Like I had a lot of things that I needed to fix, both technically and here. I didn't have the
conceptually,
control. I didn't have the control, definitely. Like, I mean, I had the facility. Like, I'm not going to lie, I had the facility, but I didn't know how to control it. And you know, I played Wieniawski first concerto, like one of the hardest concertos ever written. But I played it, like I would play it one concert like really well and another concert horrible, like really out of tune and everything. So there was like no control. And that's why I'm really grateful to Mr. Zukerman. I mean, he made me much more in control, much more in like command, much more sort of like aware of what I'm doing. Yes, like he made actually my like brain muscle work, and he made me learn how to use my brain while I'm playing. There was like this detachment all over, like just so everything was so not in the right place. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So many different approaches. Like I know some teachers that will just never mention technique, you know?
Yeah.
Like they just don't, they want all technique to enter your brain through the lens of musicality and expression.
Kind of impossible though. Like in our line of, you know, in violin teaching, I think it's
maybe it's impossible in all types of teaching. Yeah. I think it depends on the student too. Like some people are more technically minded and you tell them like, just play it with this feeling, and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what feeling, you know?
Yeah.
And then some people are all like feeling based, and they I think you need both, right? What would it mean to be totally expressive without any technique? Like, of course. You know, that would be me taking your violin and going and play a concerto, right?
Yeah.
I can play Mary Had a Little Lamb, or no, I can play whatever the Suzuki violin beginner book song is. Da, 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 da. Yeah. Just imagine like I know music, I can express music, but if you give me a violin and just say like go play a concerto, what would I do? You know? Yeah. Am I being expressive? Well, I don't know, but it's not going to be effective because I have no technique.
Yeah. I think at that you're right. Yeah. I think for those students, like everyone has like, you know, a better side, of course, like more technical, more musical. But then if you go to a teacher who's like really technical, then I actually find this balance really like working out really well. Like for example, when I was studying, I talked about Pinchas so much, no advertisement, right? So
click the link in the episode notes and you'll get 15% off lessons.
Like Pinchas. So I promised the last time I was talking about him. So we had like his assistant Patinka Kopec. So she was actually finding the balance. Like he was giving us all those like, you know, technical, you know, things to work it out. But I didn't know how to actually practice, how to put it in my practice time. And like actually having an assistant, like for some, like a big name like Pinchas, I think having an assistant like that to find the like middle voice, find that intermediary sort of role, playing that role between the teacher and the student, I think that makes it a lot different.
To help translate, not like
exactly, yes, because like some like, you know, I'm gonna really talk honestly. Like my lessons with Pinchas, they were like, yes, there was a lot of technical talking and everything, but you know, there was a lot of information. I was getting a lot of information, and you know, he was showing me like how to actually do those things, but he's just so like somewhere else. Like he was just so advanced, and like I'm just nowhere close to where he is, and I'm still nowhere close to where he is. So I needed like like
a translator.
Someone like it's translator exactly. Like I mean,
actually, that's a great idea for like genius type teachers that you might not understand what they meant by something until 10 years later. You get it much faster when somebody who knows how to talk to the rest of us, like they can translate. I mean, imagine Einstein trying to tell you about relativity. You know, you would need a literally, you would need a translator. But
exactly. Well,
so is that something? I've never heard of that before. Like a teacher just always having an assistant around to.
It's common in I think Europe a lot. Like
it's very common in Europe,
But here, like they're famous. They're the like power couple of teaching.
Miss Kopec. Miss Kopec is not really an assistant.
That means dog in Turkish.
Like she is. Actually.
Kopec.
Kopec means I think it's with a different letter. It's not.
I know.
Yeah.
So I think her title is like assistant
to the regional manager.
But she's more than an assistant.
Yeah, what's her title? I mean, I want to call her assistant because that wouldn't do justice, I guess.
No, it's not. I mean, I don't know what her title is. Program coordinator, maybe.
Oh,
I think Pinchas Zukerman performance program coordinator, but she's definitely doing more than coordinating an assistant. Mm-hmm. Yes, so I think last time I talked about Pinchas Zukerman today.
Fair enough. Who's your favorite composer?
Oh, great question. Well, it changes, of course, like from day.
Okay, right now.
Day.
From day to day.
Today?
Bartók.
Today's Bartók.
Bartók's my least favorite today.
We're trying to record a Bartók thing for like 2 hours.
Are you going to put that on Instagram or something?
What we did with Yankı?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
I'll link your Instagram in the episode notes. He puts out like videos and other Instagram-y things.
Yeah.
So you can hear the Bartók that drove me crazy this afternoon because they recorded it like 30 times in a row.
30? Just 30?
I think it's been more, to perfect.
Oh, sorry. You're going to post it and just be like one take, #1 take.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. Totally. We did Jason.
Try to make it effortless, but it was very effortful, I would say.
Yeah, actually, it's...
I mean, it was just whatever.
It was just
it's very humid today.
It was very humid today.
I mean, that drove me crazy, like mentally. Like I just am not having a pleasant day. That's for sure.
That's what I mean. It's just like the air is very heavy. It makes it hard to think.
Yeah, that's right. I think something is happening. With my perception.
Is Bartók also your favorite composer to listen to?
It was a joke. I think.
Oh, that was a joke.
Yeah. That was a joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. To give you false hope. My favorite composer actually has been for a long time Schubert. Like I enjoy playing his violin works. As difficult as they may be. I don't want to say difficult, actually. It's just very challenging. It's not virtuosic, but it's definitely more challenging than many virtuosic works I've ever played.
Isn't it funny how that works sometimes? Something that looks so crazy on the surface and it sounds virtuosic. See the humidity, I can't even say virtuosic. And then like simple things that look like, it's just like long notes and it's not that hard or whatever, ends up being
but I think Schubert's writing for string instruments and piano as well. It doesn't look easy on the page either. It's definitely, I mean, Schubert's music wasn't really designed to sort of like shine a certain aspect of an instrument, like as opposed to like Paganini, Wieniawski, like they were focusing on
how do I make the violin sound
much like I don't know shiny or like speak better. But like Schubert didn't have any of those concerns. Like Schubert, all he was thinking about just like, how I can actually make this work more sort of composition wise, well crafted, and how can I work out the harmonies? Like his concern.
You didn't get the feeling like he was really aware of violin technique.
Actually, you would expect him to be, because he worked with Josef Slavik, which is a very famous virtuoso of his time. Also, he went to Paganini's concerts twice, and he was like, there are like some letters of Schubert saying like he was so impressed by Paganini's like creativity and musicality, and like everyone at that time, like they were obviously so mesmerized by Paganini's like abilities as a violinist, like as a showman as well, not just being a violinist. But for Schubert, I think he tried to sort of I don't know, bring that virtuosic side of violin writing into like more like Beethoven-wise, like Beethoven-like writing. There are some articles saying he was like his violin music, like Ronda Brilliant, Fantasy in C major, like they're really not like worth spending time on, like learning or something. They're like really not good works. But I disagree. I strongly disagree. So what do you think, Yankı? Those works, have you ever played?
I never played any of them. I'm gonna be honest. Like I just was not really intrigued by them. Like, but I totally understand why.
Yeah.
I played the Rosamunde quartet once.
Rosamunde,
that was it.
Sometimes
honestly.
pieces that you're really not intrigued by for the first like 10 times you hear them, they grow on you.
Yeah, I mean, if I learn it, I would actually really enjoy it. But as an audience listening to it, I just get kind of bored from Schubert.
So,
to be honest,
I think you should. Yeah, you can.
I probably should. Yeah.
I love his vocal works. Like,
yes, absolutely.
Some of those harmonies are
give him credit.
Winterreise.
Winterreise.
Yeah.
Die Schöne Müllerin. It's amazing.
The songs.
I'm forgetting the exact song. I think it's well, whatever. It's not going to come to my mind. But that's what the Schubert I'll listen to most is vocal music.
Yeah.
Very true.
Exactly. I agree with you. And in those works, like Ronda Brilliant especially, there's just so much lyricism happening, but also underneath there's just so much chromatic harmonies, like the modulations, and it's just so well crafted. So yeah, like I enjoy listening to Schubert as well, but who's my favorite composer to listen to? That's a great question. I don't really like to listen to like classical music so much in my spare time.
Classical musicians say that. It's so funny.
Yeah.
True.
Like recently I just find myself, why don't I just discover some more Wagner? Because Wagner is like my, just sort of missing. Like I'm actually missing a lot of Wagner like repertoire in my knowledge. So I should invest more time and like learning more Wagner.
Yeah, just get it in your brain. So maybe there's some gold there that you're missing out on that would really influence you in some way. Yeah,
amazing orchestral works. So like I just started discovering, like actually last week I started discovering some amazing work like Siegfried Edel. I'm just like actually asking you like, have you played this in Stony Brook?
Said that like 10 times since you came. Like, oh my God,
so
do you know this one? Yeah.
So I think right now I enjoy listening to Wagner's music a lot. Yeah.
Wagner's awesome.
Yeah, I got obsessed with Wagner in different periods. Last summer you played so I watched, what was it?
Die Valkyrie.
You played Valkyrie, like the whole thing
Valkyrie.
over a few days, and so I remember sitting out on the lawn up at Tanglewood, like crushing beer, listening to Wagner. I was just like, oh, man, this is great.
Yeah.
Tanglewood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Going inside to listen, like you can go inside the shed and hear the music like from the live sound in front of you, which is obviously great in its own way. But I always love sitting out on the grass and you hear some of the sounds live, but a lot of it's coming through the speakers that they project. But you also get to like make a picnic and sit there with some drinks and look at the stars and hear the music.
Yeah.
I remember having such a nice moment up at Tanglewood. This was back in 2012 or something, and listening to Brahms. I think it was Brahms Piano Concerto, and I believe it was the second movement. What's the movement in the second piano concerto that has the nice cello solo?
What was the second?
I mean, it's one of the slow movements. It might be the third movement or something. I forget if that has more than three movements. Anyways, it's the slow movement of Brahms that has a cello, and I remember just being like, "This is crazy," There's something really cool about it. Yeah. What about you, Yankı? Who's your favorite composer?
Fuck.
Not Vivaldi, you're crazy. That's a BoJack Horseman reference we should do a whole episode
like
on BoJack Horseman.
10 times legit every week probably in this household.
Yeah.
Like just constantly someone says that.
Just to set up the scene. That was I can't even set up the scene.
Yeah, please like go watch it.
Yeah, I'll link it. Luke, when you're editing this, link
wait, it's season 2. Must be season 2, 1, 2. It's 2 probably, and it's chicken.
The episode's
Chicken for
called
Days?
like Chicken for Days or
Yeah, something like that. Something about chickens. Go watch it. It's hilarious. Anyway, it's not Bach, unfortunately. I love Bach. I used to be Bach. It's not anymore. My favorite composer is Brahms.
I was going to say Brahms too.
Yeah, I love Brahms.
So I've been obsessed with the Brahms violin concerto during quarantine. Like when I'm feeling spiritually dead inside, I'll like go for a nice walk around sunset and listen to Brahms violin concerto, especially the first movement.
Karataş. Played by Yankı Karataş.
Oh yeah, Yankı soloed that, played that with the school orchestra.
So much anxiety.
That's actually right when we were first dating.
Yeah, it was. We were dating for like a couple of weeks at that point. Hilarious.
Yeah, we were very fresh couple during the.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that piece is just, there's something so.
Second one was beautiful.
Yeah.
The whole thing, but something about the first movement, it just grips me. It's like, this is a story worth listening to, you know? I don't know. There's something about that movement. I almost hear it like a Disney movie right now. Do you know? Like it's just like I can really, it's very dreamlike in my mind. I don't know. It's weird.
Who's your favorite composer, or is this Brahms too? We talked about this, right?
I think it's too hard to answer that. Like, so
mine is not just Brahms.
Yeah, obviously.
Like I have works that I'm obsessed with.
These kinds of questions are more a fun way to like spark conversation than to like be like, you know, here's a list, make it
BuzzFeed quiz. We should do that. Pick like 5 of your favorite breakfast foods, and we'll tell you which composer you are.
Make it. We'll get rich.
Yeah, please.
Bonus questions. You ready, Emre?
Oh, exciting! Yes.
Feel free to skip any of them if you don't want to.
Coming, I think.
Well, okay. So we were at dinner last night, and the topic of religion came up. You were like, "Oh, wait, I'm going to do this podcast. Like, what the heck are you going to ask me on it?" So I was like, "What do you think happens when you die?" Or like, "Do you believe in God?" Or something like that, kind of as a joke. But then, you know, and then the conversation, you started answering, but then the conversation kind of, you know, became, you know, you ordered a Peroni, and then the waitress brought us over Pellegrino water.
It's amazing. Yeah, we're like,
and then she's like, "We don't have that on the menu," and I like was pointing to the sign in the window of the restaurant. Like, I mean, it is on the menu.
The menu,
but you also have a lit up sign that says Peroni.
that was special.
So, do you believe in God?
No, I don't.
And is that something that changed for you?
Yes, I used to.
And when did that change, or was there a specific reason, or did it just kind of fizzle away?
Well, it's of course it's such a long journey. I mean, you don't like I actually like there was no like one day that I just woke up and like, oh, there's no God, obviously. You know, I made some research, and you know, it's nothing to do. Like I think, like it's a very sensitive subject, and I'm not as knowledgeable as I want to, not to sound. Like I don't want to sound like I don't want to sort of belittle anyone's I don't know beliefs or anything. So, but I think for me it was like as a result of a long journey of thinking, long journey of like experiencing certain things and sort of examining the ways in which I was encountering some not pleasant situations, and no matter how much I prayed to God, certain things were not really happening in my way. And that wasn't always the only way that, there is no God. That's not the only way I questioned the existence of God, of course. But yeah, I think it was a long journey for me.
Also, people mean so many different things by that word,
Yeah.
It's such a word. We all assume what the other person means, by uttering that 3-letter word. But people mean different things, from this... Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Feel free to disagree with me, but when you're coming from like a not background, it wasn't in my household or my family, but like you look around, and when you're coming from a culture that the religious is like being shoved down your throat, like you just get really turned off by all that. If you have
that's
are somewhat intelligent, maybe those are not your reasons, but my reasons were always like I was always so turned off by how that movement picked up and how that started oppressing people, and I was just like, I don't believe in any of this.
If you grow up very conservative and religious, you tend to, if you get out of it, you tend to reject it for that reason.
Yeah.
Some people obviously
I didn't,
stay,
just,
but
it was around the culture. So
my parents, like of course they believe, they're Muslims, but like they're not really, practicing Muslims. They were doing many things that, Islam requires you to do. But Well, it was partially that, Yankı. I think I agree with you. It was partially, it was just like a little too much in your face, everything.
Yeah.
That's how we all grew up. Even if like your parents are not like that, you just step out and this.
And if it's in the culture, it kind of pushes you away rather than convinces you to come join or something.
Yeah. And it happened that way with me actually before I moved to the UK. Like it's not like I went to the UK is not a Christian. England is not a Christian country, but like it's not like I discovered like people who believe in like other religions. Like that's how it's not like that. It was just actually it was my own discovery before I moved to the UK. Discovery is the wrong word. There is nothing that I discovered. Discovered disbelief in myself, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean it is a discovery.
Yeah.
I mean for a lot of people they never consider, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so there are also different definitions of atheism. It's like, are you saying, I know there's not a God, or are you just saying, I don't default believe that there is one?
Yeah. It's very hard to prove that something doesn't exist. It's one of the hardest.
It's impossible. I mean, you cannot prove that something doesn't exist.
Yeah. So that's why it's very hard to argue with those people who's just like, oh, how could you say that? Like,
right. And they say like, how would you prove that? It's like, it's called burden of proof, right? In other words, if the police arrest someone, they have the burden to prove that that person is guilty. The person doesn't, it's to have the burden to prove their innocence.
Yeah.
If depending on the country, of course, right? But it's to be innocent until proven guilty. So I think being an atheist is like, I am an atheist until proven God, right?
Yeah.
And I think the best way to be atheist is to be open to the possibility, just like you should be open to all possibilities, but it's a good default to be like, there's not a magical person in the sky. Like
there isn't?
You pick up your cell phone like, hello, God, are you there? Wonder if God listens to this podcast.
Depends what you mean by God again.
Yeah, we should do a whole episode on that. Maybe in 10 years when we found the answers.
In 10 years, you were thinking we're going to find an answer?
Yeah, of course. I've been working hard on it.
All right.
Maybe you should ask Alexei.
Yeah. In the 2030 version of Alexa will know whether there's a God.
Wait, I'm going to ask the next question. And I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway so that our audience can know as well. What would you see yourself doing if you weren't a musician?
Surgeon. Definitely. Yes.
I
brain or heart surgeon, to be specific.
What is it?
Brain or heart surgeon, isn't it?
Brain.
What intrigues you so much about being a surgeon?
Well, I mean, I think I spent fair share amount of my time when I was growing up in hospitals. I mean, not just because of my mom, but also I went through like 4 surgeries when I was a little kid. So, it was so nice to see.
You were getting your fingers extended to be big enough for the violin.
Yeah. I just wanted to be the next Paganini.
Yeah.
Yes, can you imagine that? So, like it was just so nice to see all those like people in caves and like they were just washing up. I'm like, I don't know.
Your favorite part is the caves and washing up, not the actual. The way they wash up,
there's just something so charismatic about that. I think
the capes.
Yeah, and then just those like tools. I don't know what they call like. So I actually to this day I still watch those videos.
The capes and the cleaning up and the tools, whatever they're called.
I don't know. Yeah,
sounds like you're almost ready to be a surgeon.
I'm so ready. I can just finish medical school right now. So what was I saying? Yeah, I think I would definitely be a surgeon. I watch videos all the time, and
you watch Grey's Anatomy all the time.
I watch Grey's Anatomy all the time. There's this like really stupid and never-ending TV show in Turkey.
No, same though. Like for some reason we're very similar. I was so intrigued as well. I would like read diseases as a kid and enjoy that. Like in encyclopedias, like I would really like look up like medical terms and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I have a surgeon
and I heard
friend.
a lot of like.
Yeah. Go.
I've heard a lot of musicians saying this. Who knows? Maybe it's like very similarly.
Maybe it's a similar
poking
mindset.
the brain. Yeah, exactly. What were you saying?
Maybe it's a musician thing. You're right. Yeah. I have a surgeon friend. Like I'm actually really lucky to have her as my friend. She's like sending me like I don't know photos from operation room and stuff like for their own archives. And then I'm like, oh my god, this is great. Like many people would be just so like, oh, what is this? Like it's so disgusting, it's gross. Like there's this like blood. And I'm like, I'm so like excited.
So you think if you saw in person, like somebody's like body being cut into for some surgery, would that freak you out?
No,
some
not
people
at
would
all.
pass out right on the spot.
I know, not at all, not at all. I would enjoy it, and I
Wow.
think
You could always become a vet. Cut open animals.
You just insulted him. Excuse me.
Like,
What do you mean?
You still have to wear capes and work with those tools.
Dojo oldun
yeah,
falan.
some undefined tools.
Milletin
Hammer,
dojo oldun
screwdriver.
equivalent oldu.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
Sorry, inside joke.
What's a book or movie that you think everyone should read?
Movie or book?
Pick one.
Book.
Oh, sorry, like a book or movie that you
Book
think
or
somebody
movie.
should
Okay,
read or
I
watch.
said
Yeah,
book or
sorry.
movie.
What movie should I read?
I was like, yeah, humidity is playing games with my mind. Okay, let's go with the book first. I'm reading recently. It's from like Turkish literature. I'm reading right now actually a couple of books. Actually, no, there's Homo Deus. I really love Homo Deus. Actually, I was going to talk about that. Homo Sapiens and Homo Deus. They were like pairs by the same author. Yes, I think I'm going to go with those two books. Okay. They actually changed my life. And there's also...
Who's the author of that?
Yuval
Noah Harari?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I read Sapiens.
Yeah.
So,
you read Sapiens?
Yeah, yeah, I audiobooked it. But I love that book. It divided the entire history of humanity into these big epics of like the cognitive revolution 70,000 years ago when we were figuring out language and outcompeting the other, caveman like Homo erectus and Homo habilis and Neanderthals and stuff.
Yeah.
Then the agricultural revolution 10,000 years ago, and then the scientific revolution. And it's such a view of history and humans. You're like mind blown.
Yeah, the way he put it is just something so special about that. It's just so like done for me, at least, like for someone who has no foundational knowledge about this. Like it was just so clear.
Yeah,
and
he made a nice story out of it. Like
very nice story, very clear story. And Homo Deus is actually what might happen after, like I don't know, like centuries after this. And I mean, I didn't enjoy Homo Deus as much as
Sapiens,
Homo Sapiens, but it's definitely.
And I think he has a new book out called 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, but I haven't checked it out yet.
I haven't read it either. For movies, I'm not a big movie person, to be honest. Except for what was that cake show?
It's not a movie, I guess. But last time I checked,
I'm not a fan of movies except for that cake show.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be a TV show too. Like, don't feel pressure.
These are just prompt questions. Say whatever the hell comes to your mind.
Recently, I really enjoyed watching poker. That was very interesting. I mean,
Poker.
Is that a movie?
TV show, movie,
or the game poker?
Wasn't it poker? Joker. Did I say poker? Poker?
Joker. Yeah, they're very similar.
like the new Joker with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah,
we haven't watched it yet.
I know.
I love the concept of the Joker as like a character. It's such a like the idea of someone that you can't reason with. They're just a chaos machine.
Oh yeah.
Nobody can play the Joker better than what's his name in The Dark Knight?
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger. That was the most disturbing actor role I've ever witnessed. I think
he got messed up from preparing for that role.
You could say he died from that role.
Pretty much.
I don't know if that's 100% accurate to say that.
We wouldn't know, but there are rumors.
He seemed to go to the dark places that one would have to go to play the Joker well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
He just had that look in his eye,
Yeah.
Actually, somebody put, I forget what it was, but it may have been like some audio of Alan Watts, the philosopher, like talking to scenes of The Dark Knight. He was talking about like the Joker character. I think it was Alan Watts. I find that stuff fascinating.
Yeah. And also another movie, Two Popes. That was really nice too. It was a nice story.
Nice.
Like focusing on friendship and religion. That was an interesting movie. Sorry, no, I said poker.
That was hilarious.
That's
I
hilarious.
don't know. It's like
but
controversial here.
It's very easy in a second language to say things with. In other words, like if I said poker, I would never confuse poker with Joker. But like I confuse cucumber with. I always say salataluk instead of sataluk.
Cucumber with for sale.
Yeah, sataluk is on sale. Salataluk is cucumber.
Yeah. Or you confuse with the moon.
Oh yeah.
The words moon and bear.
The moon is I, bear is ayı. So I'm always like, bak çok güzel bir ayı. And I
Like,
point
what
to
a
the
beautiful
sky.
bear. I'm like, not really, but yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, last one. What's the time you can remember laughing the hardest?
2 hours ago. When we were recording the
Oh my
market.
God,
Yeah, last time actually we laughed so hard.
But like, what was the time?
A time.
Like one time that you laughed the hardest in your life.
You
that
know,
can
when you're just
remember.
like your
can't, like,
stomach hurts and you're just like,
Yeah.
like
just so many.
so many
times.
that we.
you're a laugher. There are some
I'm
people
a-
that like
yeah.
laugh twice in their whole life. You know?
Oh my god! Yeah, he definitely is a laugher.
Yeah, I laugh a lot. I actually laugh at really small things too, which is a little weird sometimes.
It's better to be that way than to just be like too stiff, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you think that way. There's certain some embarrassing moments that I had.
From laughing in an inappropriate time, you mean?
Oh no! Like just the cause of laughter.
That caused the laughter. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't remember.
I mean, it's okay. It's such a tough question. Anyway.
Yeah, it's actually.
Can I
very
replace this question with another question then?
I guess so.
Okay, then that'll be our last question. Okay, this is like actually it's your question, but I'm gonna read it.
Oh.
So, without getting in trouble, naming names or anything, what is the craziest thing you've ever witnessed in playing a concert?
Playing a concert, right? Me, like I'm playing.
Yeah, you're playing a concert.
You're participating in a concert. What's
and
the
then
craziest
something
thing
crazy
that happened?
happens, and you're like, I can't believe we're having this right now. I mean, I already have a story that we
Yeah, I
share,
think
but
we
like
share that
one
story
moment,
together.
but I don't know. That was the craziest. Maybe there's something else.
That was definitely the most recent one I had.
You don't have to tell it.
Yeah, I think it's better.
I think if you tell that one, it's going to be too revealing, right?
That's true. Yeah,
and maybe too mean.
yeah, it
as
will be
crazy as-
That's true. Yeah, let's just
Let's
keep it to
start.
ourselves.
Well, there were moments that
Okay, can we just cut
had-
this part? Let's pretend like I didn't ask this question.
No, I had actually my own performance once. It was very embarrassing. I was like, I just don't want to exist right now. That I didn't actually. That was really weird enough. I didn't know that was a weird gesture I was doing. Anyway,
Yankı just did the SpongeBob. What is it?
yeah.
No, that's a whole completely different thing, imagination thing. But we were watching Emre's old videos, and then like we started dying, cracking up from his like body language, like young Emre, like you know.
Right before Tuttis.
Yeah, he was just like acting like an opera singer with his body like on two T's, just like we were just like
Yeah, I just was
laughing.
in a past podcast, and you just like visually show that.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, Yanka's like, I wonder why people are confused as she does like SpongeBob sign language or whatever that was.
So one performance of mine, like I was playing Prokofiev concerto, and second movement. At the end of second, it's really fast. It's very fast, and then the ending of like I was playing with orchestra, and ending of that movement, there's like a really 10-second like break from like solo part, like the tutti section, and that's like only time you can put on the mute. Or you put on the mute before you start the second movement. For some reason, with nerves and everything, like I forgot to put on the mute before the movement started. Mm-hmm. So it was actually in my pocket. Crazy.
By the way, a mute is this little like
Thing.
black thing that put on the strings, and it changes the tone quality of the instrument.
Yeah, and it makes it quieter. So yeah, I started the second movement, and I was like, oh my god, the mute is not on. And then we came to that moment, like 10-second, break from the solo part. That moment, I just like reached my pocket and I tried to take it up, but it just fell into the audience section. And then I was like, try to like take it from like that, stage part. I don't know. I can't really tell where it is. But it was just like I was leaning down and like trying to take the mute, but it didn't happen, and I was almost going to lose my,
Entrance.
time, my entrance. And then I played that last two lines without the mute, but it was just everyone was laughing. It was just so fun. I was like, this is so embarrassing. Why did I experience this? And one time my shoulder rest fell.
Oh, classic.
Lalo. I was playing Lalo Sinfonia Español. And then you're like, dum, bum, ba, da, 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 and there's just entrance, only solo. And then there's orchestra, that part. My shoulder rest just fell, and I was like, oh gosh, it's broken. What am I going to do? And like, I played the entire concerto without shoulder
That's a
rest.
pretty big adjustment. I mean, people play without shoulder rest, but they're adjusted to it. Like
it was so out of tune. It was so out of tune, and I cried after the performance. I actually cried, but it was all. I mean, I didn't laugh. It was it wasn't a cause of laughter, definitely. But yeah, I questioned my existence at that point and my life choices.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you. It was very enjoyable. Yeah. Thanks for having me, and thanks for putting.
We'll link. Send me the videos you want me to put in the episode notes. You can choose the good ones.
Oh, I will.
Yeah.
Michelle. Those experiences, they're like off the record. I don't have the recordings of.
Yeah. All right. See ya.
Thank you. Yeah. Bye.
All right. Thanks for listening to this episode of Exploring Kodawari. If you enjoyed it, we hope you'll consider sharing it on social media and with friends. You can also help us out by leaving a rating and a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Those help us more than you would think. And if you'd like to help us out in a more substantial way, consider going over to our website to make a donation through PayPal. Links are in the episode notes for this. You can do this as a one-time donation or a recurring monthly donation. All of that support will help us to set aside time in order to create content for the podcast and the blog. And finally, please get in touch with us and say hi, either on social media or privately through email. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.